Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2.
Microphone check 1 2. Mic check 1 2.
Mic check. Mic check. Okay. Cool.
For many accolades and celebrations. Good morning, Marianas, and welcome to this new week, and welcome to our studios here in Hagåtña. I'm Troy Torres.
And I'm Danielle Baza.
It is 7:48 a.m. on this Monday, the 17th of October, 2022, and just a few days left until the general election in both Guam and the CNMI. Before we go any further, I promised some people that I would try they call it chicken congee over at KFC. It's just a fancy way of saying arroskadu. It's arroskadu. And it's chicken arroskadu, and of course KFC does chicken the best, right? So
And cornbread.
let's check. Oh, you got cornbread?
Yeah.
Did you
I
eat
like
it already?
Yes.
Oh. You just advertising the thing without the cornbread in it?
No, it's we got 6, bro.
Oh, it is good.
It's really good with honey and butter.
All right. While I finish this, we're going to turn to our sponsors, but when we come back, we'll bring you the latest about a New York Times article about a federal investigation throughout the United States by inspectors general from the U.S. Department of the Treasury over the use of federal pandemic funds, over the stealing and misuse of federal pandemic funds. More from our friends over in the Commonwealth about town hall meetings, a statement from the Camacho Ada campaign about the use of federal pandemic funds on Guam, and also our editorial that we ran over the weekend regarding the governor's conflict of interest here on Guam. When we come back, we'll have this. Stick with us.
Terong ani kami resong mar me reilumar ngang ursemiam lino meta olopai. Imusan tangar malulu ngani kami masal ngani kami babu fiti le itti Selena Roberto Babauta bobotolong boye nice Congress nomor nyan balad nge ruo automalikilo nomor nyan balad nge ruo belan November walu lan maram musik kemutingani au sihi uri ululu nyan ngang melan House of Representative eseb mesah ehibura ehiwana charmalian ye wikita ngairala mikagat dengan igis meas government ebal senir be eno precinct 2 ebal monar alnger sakna we esabior the ferno balan fanu kafanwas wan te hi lokametaka ekera boba mala the ferno balan nas government Oyas hero balan fanu kafanwas bali ye hero atto tabwe ya musenege me babto tabwe busiu atto lenge Selena Roberto Babauta nomor ruo lanyan balad bisi atto lenge webono boye as senator lan election sikkem matengene lan November Giliso ngani kami resa omar merelo mar giliso
I really don't want to put any more unessential money into this hospital. So rest assured, our nurses, our healthcare professionals, our doctors, you are going to be working in an environment that's conducive to providing quality healthcare.
I'm Felix Camacho, and I approve this message.
I'm sick.
I'm tired.
I'm sick and tired of the infiltration of crystal meth in our families and in our neighborhoods, yet no drug task force to stem the flow of drugs is anywhere in sight.
We are disgusted in the increase in violent crimes and the decrease in police officers.
We are outraged at witnessing the absence of leadership and action until 6 months before the election.
We are sick of knowing
that if one of our loved ones
Gets very sick.
GMH may not be safe enough for them.
We have hope because we see the honesty of Governor Felix Camacho and Senator Tony Ada.
We have faith that they will take care of all the people, including the forgotten.
the struggling,
the in and the out.
In this election, we're voting for values.
For fairness.
For equality and equity.
for leadership that works from day one.
We are voting for Camacho Ada.
I'm Felix Camacho, and I approve this message.
Tom Fisher was a Peace Corps volunteer and an educator in the jungles of Central Africa. He went from educating children in impoverished nations to serving our nation in the United States Navy. Tom's legal expertise took him from the military courtroom as a judge advocate general to the courts of Guam, where he has spent 3 decades representing our Manumco and our less fortunate. Tom Fisher knows the law. He'll be a great lawmaker. Let's vote Attorney Thomas Fisher for Senator.
I'm Tom Fisher, and I approve this message.
I have different goals as I age. I want to be stronger and healthier, but it's got to fit my lifestyle. I can't spend all day in the gym and it can't be crowded. So here at CrossFit Pizza, I have all these different options for fitness, and the people are really nice. The atmosphere is inviting. It's like family. GovGuam employees and retirees, sign up today for CrossFit Pizza for free when you choose Take Care as your insurance carrier, and for 50% off if you choose Select Care. It's an investment you'll love. Welcome back. The U.S. Treasury Department has started an inquiry into how states and territories are using the interest generated from federal stimulus funds, as well as the funds themselves. Inspectors General and other federal investigators are rushing to investigate billions of dollars they believe has been stolen or misused from the principal pot of $350 billion state and territorial governments were given through the American Rescue Plan Act that was supposed to be used to help prop up the economy during the pandemic. Of that pot of money, Guam received some $600 million that only the governor has discretion over. Governor Lulian Guerrero in turn decided to keep about $300 million of that amount in an investment account in the bank she and her family own. The money, according to the governor, is for a kind of down payment on a new medical campus she wants to build, which will take nearly a decade to complete. The administration has refused to release plans that a publicly funded consultant was paid to draft, and also has kicked out a member of the public, Ken Leon Guerrero, and had him arrested for wanting to participate in what should have been a public meeting discussing the development of a new hospital.
Meanwhile, the governor's political opponents, former Governor Felix Camacho and Senator Tony Ada, last week issued a statement calling on the Leon Guerrero administration to release the balance of federal stimulus money she is keeping in the bank for the benefit of struggling Guamanians. Their campaign's full statement states, former Governor Felix Camacho and Senator Tony Ada are calling on Governor Leon Guerrero to release nearly $300 million in federal stimulus funding into the island community with sustainable programs that could help offset the rising cost of living as a result of the ongoing public health emergency in Guam and policy changes of the Biden administration. Governor Camacho said, quote, "These funds were secured by Guam Congressman Mike Nicholas to help the people of Guam during the COVID pandemic emergency response. $282 million is sitting idle at the Bank of Guam," end quote. The Leon Guerrero Tenorio administration has reportedly held these funds in a Bank of Guam account to build the new hospital complex that has been riddled with unresolved site control issues and infrastructure issues in central Guam. The location of the site has not received support from Guam's medical community. Congressman Nicholas has stated that the time of construction of a hospital complex could take 5 years or more. Senator Ada said, quote, "Each day that money sits in that account, inflation erodes away its purchasing power and the cost of construction continues to rise. We are at a place where people cannot afford to pay their power bill or buy groceries," end quote. Additionally, original landowners have protested the location of the proposed site in Fidian along Route 15 in Mangilao, as there are ownership claims being made on the property to the Ancestral Lands Commission and other government of Guam agencies. This is the first elected governor of Guam who has implemented a policy that takes land away from original landowners, Camacho said. In the first 100 days of office, the Camacho Ada administration will reverse the Leon Guerrero administration policy that takes away land from original landowners, begin plans to support the school facility master plan as outlined in the Guam Department of Education's 5-year strategic plan, and expedite the release of funds intended to help the public since the start of the pandemic emergency response efforts in March 2020. Camacho said, quote, "Before we talk about building billion-dollar capital improvements, let's start by fixing the Guam Memorial Hospital and our public pools, reopening Mangilao Public Health, and breaking ground on a new Simon Sanchez School. In the meantime, let's help our people and local business owners with real programs that truly help offset the skyrocketing cost of living on Guam," end quote.
When we come back, I'll bring you my editorial regarding the governor's conflict of interest, and we'll also bring you the schedule of town hall meetings being hosted in Saipan for the candidates for governor of the CNMI. Stick with us.
Hi, can I get one bottle of antioxidant, please?
Half a day. My name is Marianne Mana Silva Tyron, and I'm running for a seat in the 37th Guam Legislature. You might remember me from my media days, as I spent over 20 years covering news here on Guam. More recently, I served as a senator in the 31st Guam Legislature and as the deputy administrator of the Guam Economic Development Authority. I've always been an advocate for businesses and for building a strong economy for our island. And over the years, I've worked to create new laws that help to increase business activity and develop industries on Guam. I've also created legislation that helped to improve access to government services. If elected, certain, I want you to focus on improving the economy, because I believe that building a strong economy will allow us to better address critical needs in public safety, health care, and education. This general election, I add you one vote. I'm Marianne Mana Silva, and I'm number 12 on the Republican side of the ballot.
Day. I moved to Guam 23 years ago, living paycheck to paycheck just to make ends meet. Through hard work, I was able to build small businesses, not just to sustain my family, but also to provide job opportunities for our island. But I want more for Guahan. I will use my experience to strengthen our economy by promoting affordable housing, food sustainability, and foster growth for all businesses. Together, we can make Guahan stronger from within and set new standards for our island. I'm Bishop Mendiola, and I approve this message.
Half a day, my name is Jeanette Guzman Chrysostom, and I'm voting for Joe S. San Agustin.
Half a day, I'm Ryan Walter, and I'm voting for Joe S. San Agustin.
Mabuhay! Ako po si Micaela Silorio at boboto ko si Joe S. San Agustin.
Half a day, my name is Diana Mkenko Garrido, and I'm voting for Joe.
Half a day, my name is Joe Cabana. I humbly ask my friends and families to please join me in voting Joe Shimizu San Agustin.
I'm Senator Joe Shimizu San Agustin, and I approve this message.
Hafa day, dear people of Guam. My name is Peter Santos, and I am running as a write-in candidate for the Attorney General of Guam. For many reasons, crime, especially violent crime, is at an all-time high on Guam. This crisis is mostly due to a lack of competent prosecution. There are just 2 prosecutors who are qualified to handle serious cases. This dire situation was totally avoidable, but Levin Camacho is seriously out of touch with reality. Just like under Douglas Moylan, highly qualified prosecutors fled from Levin. Guam doesn't need to choose the lesser of 2 evils between Levin and Doug this election. I have 30 years of public service as a GPD officer, Army JAG, prosecutor, magistrate, and defense attorney. I am the right man to fix what Levin and Doug has broken. Please write in Peter Santos for Attorney General of Guam in this election. Thank you, si Diyos maasi, maraming salamat, and kiliso.
Right now, we are seeing a rise in energy prices. We feel it at the pump, at the store, or each time we get our CUC bill. This is causing everyone to make difficult choices. Businesses are having to increase prices or reduce hours. Families are having to choose between keeping the aircon on or putting food on the table. Lieutenant Governor Arnold and Mayor Dave's commitment to our Commonwealth is demonstrated through their 30-plus years of public service. Their experiences have allowed them the opportunity to personally interact with our community during their most difficult moments, and for that, they have a better understanding of the needs of our people. The CNMI needs leaders that will promote policies that create jobs, grow paychecks, and improve the economic security of the CNMI businesses and families. We hear you, Marianas. It's time to get this government back in order. This election, please vote Arnold and Dave.
Half a day. I'm Tom Fisher. Here's the harsh reality. A trip to the grocery store for the basics, eggs, bag of rice, butter, can of Spam, milk, costs almost $30, and that's just 5 items. The cost of living continues to grow, but the money doesn't. We need to roll back the business privilege tax to reduce Guam's cost of living, and I will make that happen.
Vote Thomas Fisher for senator. If you want different, vote different.
I'm Tom Fisher, and I approve this message.
Welcome back, and thank you to our advertisers for their confidence in us and for trusting us as the platform that is growing to provide for their needs and to get their messages out to all of you. There was a relentless effort throughout the election of 2010 to keep Eddie Calvo from becoming governor by blaming a $100 million insurance contract he had nothing to do with on him. Ironically, the political machine this year has very little to say about the government of Guam's banking contract that facilitates the flow of billions. We can't ignore the double standard. More importantly, we can't ignore the questions that arise from the governor's decision to leave hundreds of millions in an investment account that may be benefiting the bank she owns. In the summer of 2010, Democrat operatives within the legislature's Office of Finance and Budget leaked information that the upcoming health insurance contract with Calvo Select Care would cost north of $100 million. At the time, Eddie Calvo was a senator running for governor. He would inherit the contract, but he had nothing to do with creating it. Despite this distinction, the media hammered anyway. I know because I worked for Mr. Calvo and I was his gubernatorial campaign's communications guy. I got the phone calls from the reporters. They were relentless. His opponent in that election called for Mr. Calvo to call his brother at Select Care and tell him to reduce the price of the contract. It was a political stunt. He and reporters knew the procurement process was too far along for something like that to happen. But the stories continued anyway. Calvo went on to win the election by fewer than 500 votes. It was the closest election in Guam history. He would go on to control the process by which the government of Guam loan insurance provider would be selected. To check the governor's powers, the legislature saw fit to change the law and mandate GovGuam to select more than one provider, offering choice to employees and retirees. The arrangement ended up costing the taxpayers more money due to the rising cost of medical care and economies of scale. But the point wasn't cost savings, it was corruption. People made a big deal back then about Calvo ownership of KUAM. If only voters knew then that the most relentless reporters on the issue were KUAM reporters. Today, there is virtually no criticism that Governor Leon Guerrero's family has financial interests in the Pacific News Center, or that she makes decisions about the government's cash flow on a daily basis that literally affect the financial position of the bank she owns. How is this unworthy of inquiry? And why is Ms. Leon Guerrero's candidacy in this election being treated differently from Mr. Calvo's in the last decade? Is it because she's a Democrat? Were the reporters back then just more able and savvy? We launched an investigative series that so far has revealed two important points. Number one, that during the pandemic, the Bank of Guam's assets grew by an astonishing 50%, and that the period following the deposit of hundreds of millions of dollars in federal pandemic funds into the bank posted its highest earnings, equity, and dividend payouts. And number two, that the Leon Guerrero administration's budget and cash directors claim the governor has had nothing to do with decisions that would have benefited the bank. But there are decisions she has made to keep money in the bank longer. Whether that decision is inuring to her financial benefit deserves an inquiry beyond assurances from her cabinet members. The final irony in this comparative story is that this election year, the health insurance contract is substantially more expensive than ever. The silence on these matters is deafening. That was the editorial released. I think I had it scheduled to run yesterday at 9 a.m. I posted it on Saturday. I don't work on Sunday. So I posted it on Saturday, but I figured like Sunday was probably a better day to release it, so I scheduled it for then.
It was worth a read.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. It's an editorial. It's not a news story. It's our approach to, well, I mean, I really think that there has to be a deeper inquiry into this. There was a comment that Jane Flores left. Jane Flores is the governor's women's affairs director, and she said the first thing she said was the Federal Reserve pays interest to the deposit. And she said you should know this if you were doing your proper research. And I make fun of Miss Flores, but I do to correct her, and she should understand that yes, the Federal Reserve pays interest to the depositor, but the depositor in this case is the bank. It's not the, and so yes, thank you for making the point, Ms. Flores. The Federal Reserve pays into the depositor. The depositor of funds into the Federal Reserve is not us. It's not the government. It's the bank itself. And so that's one. And the second thing she said, I thought was unfortunate considering her days as a journalist, that we should take the budget director's comment on face value. She said, Esther already dispelled what she had to say, yet you persist in this story, Troy. And I thought, why do we not check that out?
Yeah.
Are we just supposed to take whatever a government official says at face value and say that they're telling the truth? I mean, I'm sure,
in this day and age when there are fact checkers everywhere.
In every day and age, you're supposed to question what a government official says, and you not take it at face value, no matter how honest. I believe that Ed Burns is a very honest man, but it's our job to take what they say at face value. We have to dig.
Trust but verify.
We have to exactly. We have to trust but verify. And I thought that was a very unfortunate thing that Jane said. There was a comment by Ginger Cruz, which was, Ginger didn't why we had to do the story itself. She unfortunately went after Congressman Nicholas and her comments, and that neither here nor there with the story that we did, right? And this is how politics rears its head in an election. But you have someone like Ginger Cruz, who's been a journalist for decades. Someone like Jane Flores, who's been a journalist for decades. I was very disappointed with Jane Flores' outlook on things, considering that she spent decades in government officials and never taking a government official. But now that she is a government official and works for a government official, now she expects everybody to just roll over and believe that what they say is the God honest truth. And it's, many times we've discovered that the administration has lied.
Yeah.
And so
it's just so funny when someone's in a position that they were so they scrutinized so much.
Well, you know what? I have to let me sort of come to the defense of government officials here, and that is that I've been one before, and I know how power can corrupt. And when I was in a position to say something about corruption, I didn't until. I didn't say anything until the FBI asked me. And the only reason the FBI asked me anything was because I went to the FBI to report what was done to me, which was a whole separate matter. But when I was asked about corruption, I told the story. And so, it's not easy to have integrity when you are in the throes of power. Especially when you believe that what you're doing is good. And I'm sure that they believe what they're doing is good. If you look at the comments of what people say who are in the administration, you would think that, they were living in Oz. And that the wizard was paving those yellow brick roads of old. Turning our attention to the CNMI. Beginning tonight and then tomorrow and then the following Northern Mariana College, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. We just got the information this morning. And we're going to try to commit to airing live the town hall meetings. There are town hall meetings that NMC is sponsoring for each of the gubernatorial teams. I think they may have bent over for the administration in this case. It was supposed to have been a debate among the three teams, but I don't think Governor Ralph Torres wants to repeat that.
No.
I don't think he wants to repeat what happened at the last debate when the Chamber of Commerce over in Saipan hosted a debate. He was pretty much obliterated by the other two teams. And so NMC has agreed to separate the appearances and make them town hall meetings over at, I believe it's at the Multipurpose Center, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, no matter what the venue is, you can watch it on Kandit. I'm pretty sure. We'll put something out. I just have to talk to Isaac and Eric to make sure that they're available to live cast this. It's at 6 p.m., so more likely than not, starting tonight at 6 p.m., you're going to see the town hall meeting for the Sablon Staffler team, tomorrow for the Palacios Apatang team, and on Wednesday for the Taurus Sablon team.
Get these stories and more on CandidNews.com.
And now we ask that you join us in turning our attention to the only talk show of any consequence or significance on Guam every weekday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. That's the Ray Gibson Show on your radio dial on 93.3 FM. Where we watch is on Facebook Live at The Point Guam. You can also watch them on YouTube Live on the Ray Gibson Show. For Candid News, I'm Troy Torres.
And I'm Danielle Baza.
Good morning, Marianas.